What's up, YouTubers? Tio here, Simplistic Fishing back at you. We are on episode 3 for offshore hotspots for Lake Texoma. So we went over zone 1 that was kind of down by the dam in that area. And then we went over by Eisenhower Park and all that and really broke down that whole cove that's in there. I think it was, I can't remember the name of the cove that was in there, but basically you'll be able to see it. Just go click up here. It'll take you to the other videos. So today we are actually going to dive into kind of that northern section up there on the Oklahoma side. So let's go. Let's jump into this thing and let's see what we can find. Here we go. Let's jump into Lake Texoma. So if you missed the last video, when we were down here, we covered this whole area pretty much from right in here where this purple fish is. We went all the way down here around, and then we stopped right there at that point. And then the second video we did, we went all the way back in here, and you can see all the different points. So we went all the way up to this point, we went all the way down, and then we stopped somewhere down around this area right here, around this point. So we covered quite a bit of the water there. This time, we're going to start up this purple fish where we started at, but instead instead of going south, we're going to go up here. We're going to cover all of these areas. So let's see what we can cover today. We'll give it about 20-25 minutes on this one. We'll break off as soon as we hit that marker. So I'm not sure how long this is going to take. We already covered that one. So let's go ahead and let's just move on and let's talk about some of the next spots that we found. They've got some pretty good culverts out here. There's a submerged bridge. Actually, it shows 2 submerged bridges out here. There's not much of a break where these bridges are, but the fact that it is a railroad, looks like a railroad bridge or something like that, there's got to be something here that there's a bridge over. So definitely come out here and take a look at that area, see if there's anything attracted to that. You've also got a really deep bridge out here in like 75 foot of water that would, might have suspending fish off of it, but that might be a little bit trickier to be able to catch those, at least for me it is. And then if we move over here, we kind of got the same thing again. We've got 3 different submerged culverts that are over here in a nice roadbed. So definitely take a look at that. You can see the little creek bed running through there and all these little culverts that are in there. And they'll set up on those sometimes. You can find some really good fish on those submerged culverts. So don't overlook those for sure. And then I'm going to keep moving up. We're going to go over here into this little cove. The next thing that I found was really right here. So if you follow this creek bed, you've got some pretty good little breaks that are going on right in here, but it gets really tight right in this area. And this has got a nice little flat top to it. So if I back this off, you'll kind of see it a lot easier. It comes up pretty sharp here, and then it has a pretty nice little flat top on it as well. And you've got a road bed back here too, but really like this area right in here where those bends are right there, where it has that nice break. So definitely go back there, scan that area, see what you can find. And then we're going to move on down. I'm going to follow this little creek channel around. We're trying to see what we can find. Now, obviously, if you're out here, you want to be looking around these creek channels and just see if they hit up against something. Sometimes it'll show, like here, it shows this creek channel making the turn right here. But if you look right here, something's obviously going on because there's a really sharp break right here. So right in this area would probably be a good place to fish. Let's go ahead and mark that one because I like that area. While we're talking about it, I didn't even mark it last time, but I really like that area because you've got that little point that comes out. You've got the flat top on the top. You've also got a creek bed over here to the side, and potentially that creek channel may actually come down here and actually swing down and hit that bank line, and that's why we're seeing those really sharp curves. So definitely something to take a look at when you're over there. Then come over here, check out this side. You've got a pretty sharp turn. You got a creek channel swing that's coming in here and hitting this side, so this is always good, and a real nice flat top there as well. So both those areas look really good, especially with that creek channel. If that swing comes in and hits this side and then comes back and hits that side, that whole area could be a really good area to be fishing. Then we're going to move on down. We'll be pulled back out so you can see where I'm at. I'm going to come down here, and inside of here, I just marked this because there were some, it looks like a little bit of a community hole possibly or something like that. But there's a crappie drop that's in there. So you definitely want to go take a look at that. It looks like it's right there on the buoy. And then obviously anytime you see these crappie areas, sometimes you want to go around and fish around the for bass as well, because if there's crappie there, the bass like to eat the crappie. So definitely go and check those out. And then you've got a submerged culvert that's back here too that you might not want to overlook while you're back there fishing. So let's keep moving up here. Next spot that I see, you got all kinds of nice little shoot offs from this major creek arm or creek channel. So you definitely want to look at all those and keep following that creek channel. When it gets shallow enough to where you can start fishing it, then it's definitely worth fishing. So you've also got a submerged culvert that's right over here. I like how this creek bed swings up against this little point right here, this little secondary point, and the fact that it's got a submerged culvert there. So you got kind of a couple of different good things going on there. So that would be a good area to look. And then over here, again, you got another creek channel swing hitting up against this little secondary point. We've talked about that several times in other videos, so you definitely would want to look right in this area. Again, you got a submerged culvert, and then you've got a little fish place there as well that says good crappie in that area too. So a lot of good things going on right in here. You've got good structure from the creek channel swing. You've got good cover from the submerged bridge. Just a lot of good things going on right here in this area. So moving back, definitely want to look at these creek channel swings and these bends that you see out here. So where this bend is and it meets up and it tees up in here, you always want to look at those areas when you're driving back there. So anytime you're coming into these coves, just follow the creek channel back and just see what you can find. There's probably tons of gold that's underneath the water that we can't see on the maps. So as you get further back in here, I like this spot too because you've got a nice creek bed that runs here and it swings right against that island and then it swings back around. So right in here, right in this whole area right in here, either side could be a really good area. And then you got a little saddle back here as well, so don't forget about that too. So that's pretty much all I found in the back of that little cove from offshore. But let's move over here and let's keep moving up. So the next spot would be right in here. You've got these little turn-ins that come out. Well, first off, right here, it looked really interesting. I didn't mark it because I've run out of putting too many points out there for you guys to check out. But if you're coming back up, scan this right here. This is like one of those spots that it could be a really good area that a lot of people may just drive right past because it's not that obvious, but it's somewhat obvious. You know what I mean? It's kind of hard to explain. But anyways, these flat tops, we always want to look at these flat tops to see if there's anything right on the outside edge of them. So if they're right up on the top on the outside edge, they're feeding, and if they're back off that ledge, they're not feeding. But if you can find them when they're moving up onto the top, you can really have a good time fishing there. So right here, I did mark this one because I liked how this one comes out, makes a pretty good point, has a really nice drop on it as well. But any of these areas right here where you see these flat tops, you want to take a look at. All right, so I'm going to move over here. Next thing I would say to check out would probably be right up here on this roadbed, but it's only 6 foot, so I was a little bit sketchy on whether I should mark it or not. But decent little point here, but really, fish all these points. At least scan them and see what you can find. So then moving up here, we come up here to this next area. This is a really sharp break. You probably got some riprap and stuff like that going on there, but I marked this one because you've got a really good creek bed that swings right up against it as well. So definitely a good area there. And then we'll move back here to this spot. This is just another good break. I just marked this because I didn't mark too many things back in this area that looked too promising. So I was trying to, really hone in and say, okay, there's got to be something here that they set up on. And this one looked pretty decent. I think what happens is this creek bed actually shoots off this way and swings pretty hard and hits right in here. And that's why you're seeing that major break right there. So this could be a really good spot right in here because you've got a good break and you've got a creek bed close by. Coming over here, we're just looking at these points again. We want to look at these shallow tops, look at all of them. It also says there's a hump out here. I wouldn't really call this a hump. I'd call that more of an underwater point. But you could call it a hump too, I guess. So anyways, fish there, definitely, especially if a local has marked that. You got a roadbed that's out here in a little bit deeper water too that you can check out. Another good point right in here. These guys all mark these as good fishing spots, so you'll want to look at them. And the reason why these are good points is because that creek channel is so close to them. So any of this stuff out here, these big flats, they can get up here in the fall as well and get on these flats. So definitely check this stuff out. And you're going to have to do a lot of scanning if you're going to plan on doing offshore stuff out here because there's a lot of water to cover and they could pretty much be anywhere once they get out on the tops of these flats. All right, so we got done with that cove. Let's go ahead and keep moving up. We're going to go up here by the bridge now. We got another good creek channel swing here, so you can see again where I'm starting to mark stuff. Anytime that creek channel or a creek bed gets close, I'm trying to hone in and see what we've got. So you got a pretty good little point that comes off right here, but it looks like you got the swing that's happening right in this area. So right in here, you should have some sort of a drop or something, and you've also got a pretty good flat top up here as well, which is always a huge plus. Then we get up here. Next thing we find, this is a little bridge that's going across, it looks like. Something that's going across. But you got a really good creek channel that's right here, and a really good point that comes off right here that you got a couple different markers. So you get somebody put up here a smallmouth flat, smallmouth flat again. So obviously right in here must be a pretty good area to be fishing right around where this creek bed is. But take a look at all this stuff. I mean, anytime you can get up here and get these are probably more like bluff type walls. Those are good areas to fish in the summertime. They're good areas to fish in the wintertime as well. So definitely take a look at that. You got a really good swing that comes up and nails that thing pretty hard. So definitely a good place to look. Then moving up here, we get back in this little cove. So we went underneath that roadway or whatever that is, and then we went back here. We're down here on Sand Point. The next spot that I saw that looked pretty decent was this point that's right here. So 12 foot on the top, so really good depth. I like that 10 to 15 foot depth on the top, and then kind of a gradual break out to the back. So good fall spot for sure. You got a creek bed close by too, so those are all good signs. And then out here you got again just an underwater flat top point. Good stuff again, a lot of scanning. You're gonna have to scan this whole area and figure out where they are, but start off on the tips and start off on the tips and the saddles, and you'll typically be able to figure it out. So start up here, see if you can find them up here. If you can't find them there, come back here and fish this little saddle or scan this little saddle and see if you can find them there. And maybe if you can't find them there, you're gonna scoot over and you're gonna look here off of this break as well and see what you can find in that area. But they're gonna be somewhere in there, but you just got a lot of scanning that you got to do in that area in order to be able to find them. But if you start on my points right there, I think that will help you. All right, so moving over here, I like this emergent vegetation. I'm curious for you guys that live out on Texoma, what does that mean? Is there actually grass back in there or something? Because I didn't see anything from Google Earth or anything like that. So I'm just curious what kind of vegetation we're talking about that might be back in there. So anyways, moving back here, look at this. You got a really good creek bed that comes over here, and you can tell something's going on right in this area. You got a good point here and a really good drop right here. So definitely that spot right in there. And then as we move up, not too much going on back in that cove as far as offshore stuff. But if we come over here, this looked interesting too. If you look at this, it's kind of like a little ledge that would set up. So you've got a little drop that happens right here. Right, so 12 feet to 19 feet or 18 feet. And then it kind of stays right there at 18 feet, right there in that little bowl, which looks like it could be a really good area for them to set up on. And then if it gets too hot or they want to move down, they just drop down and now they're in 24 to 34 foot of water. So good little area right there. Again, coming out here off these points, I'm just following them out and trying to find the tips of them into about 10 to 15 foot of water. And then I'm usually going to start scanning, and then I'll work my way one way or the other, depending on where the bait fish are located in the depth and stuff like that. But these are always good spots to look. Also, right in here would be a good spot to look. These big flat tops with breaks that come over here off the side. This is your big break right here. So you're basically going 7 to 8 feet to down to about 30 feet or so. So good spots to look right there, hopefully. Also, you always want to look on these creek channel bends and just see what's going on. This is so deep, 80 feet would be tough for me to be able to go out there and fish it, but always want to take a look at them. And then if we get back in here, getting a little bit more shallower, we got a submerged culvert that's back here with a road bed as well. Some pretty good breaks that are around it. So you got 7 to 8 feet and you got a pretty good break right there. So the depth of this culvert looked pretty good. And the fact that it's got the creek bed running through it, would definitely be worth going back there and checking it out. Next place out here, it's showing that there's stripers out here. I think this says stripers as well. But even though there's stripers out there, that means there's bait fish out there. And if there's bait fish out there, that means there's bass out there. So the bass might not be out here in 52 foot of water. They might actually be up here feeding in 15 foot of water. So I marked the top of that hump, but you're going to have to scan the entire area out here to figure out where they're setting up at, because it is an expansive area. But if you use your electronics, you can knock it out pretty quick and at least narrow down where the fish are going to be. I would set up, or at least start, obviously off the edges of them, and then I would keep. If you want to save time, I would probably just start on the creek bed side, because it's more likely the side that they're going to be on. All right, so that doesn't mean they're always going to be on that side, though, so don't quote me on that. So then moving up here where this little purple fish is, it's got another one of these little tops that I was telling you about. So it's a little underwater point that comes out, and then it has another shelf that's about 18 feet, and it's a pretty good little flat area right in there before it breaks off again and gets down into the creek bed. So right there looks good. And let's keep going. I thought that was about as far as I could go, but looks like we've probably got at least a few more minutes to keep going. So right here, we've got a creek channel swing that runs up against the bank line. So any of this right in here is going to be good. You got 15 feet, and then boom, you're in a creek channel. So right in here, that little area right in there, and then also this little pocket right in here looks pretty good too. So if I zoom in, you'll see it's got some pretty good breaks, 6 feet down to a little bit of a flat. Here it's got a really good flat that it drops down to at about 16 feet with a shallow top. Same thing here as well. So you really want to come in here. Obviously, you want to look out here where the creek channel is, and then move up in here and just scan around this stuff and see if they're up here on these flats feeding. They're either going to be here or they're going to be up here. So they're going to be on one of the two if they're feeding. If not, they're just going to be hanging out right around those ledges. So check it out. That looks like it could be good. I like fishing anywhere where you have a major creek channel swing. I feel like that just like loads them up in those areas. So right here again, you've got a creek channel swing coming in, touching that point. Same thing right in here. Creek channel swing coming across. You've also got a road bed down in there. You've got a submerged bridge out at 60 something feet. That's a lot of good stuff going on right here. But this little top, 7 foot, comes out here, makes a good little point, then drops. There's another flat there, and then it drops again. So right there, right here look good as well. Look like a little bit of a deeper spot. So you kind of gets a little bit deeper right here, and then it just drops big time. So right there on that point. Again here, same type thing, and same type thing here. Really good sharp breaks. So like that whole area right in there. If I just start right where that creek channel comes up and hits the bank, and I would fish that entire spot right in there. All right, so then moving down, a couple more things back in here. You've got these major breaks going on in this whole area. I really like it. They're everywhere. But here's a really good one. Another good one right here. You got a little flat spot at 6 foot, and then you got breaks going on again. Back here a little bit further, same type thing. It looks like you might have a creek channel. The creek channel might actually swing a little bit tighter than it shows here, and maybe even get close and hit the bank there. So looking back in there as well. Also right here, got another good creek channel swing out in 20 foot of water. Comes really close to the bank line right here. And I think that was it for that area, but that was all just good looking stuff there. I wouldn't even mind, if I was gonna have to fish in this area, I would definitely come up here and launch in Johnson Creek and fish that whole area right in there, because it looks like it could be pretty healthy. You've also got this big point that comes out here, this underwater point that comes way out. But on top of it, you got some pretty good flats. So right here, you got a good flat, and you got a good break as well, where there's a little bit of a turn in right here. So right in here, but again, these areas, you're going to have to zigzag, just back and forth and back and forth and back and forth until you figure out where they're at, because they're probably chasing shad out here, and they could be anywhere. So then moving over here, same kind of thing, but this one, if we zoom in here, it's just a little bit different than everything else. So I went ahead and marked it. It's got a little bit of a turn in here. It's got a nice flat top, and then a huge break right here. So if I go from right here where my marker is, 12 foot to 24 foot basis, you got a really sharp break just right there, but it's not very big. It's just right on that one area. And then up here again, this point coming out, you're gonna have to do a lot of scanning, but right in here would probably be where I would start, 10 feet or so, and then work my way out. If I don't find anything out, then work my way back in. Then, again, we've got a major creek arm, or really it says this the river arm, but let's just call it a creek channel or arm. I keep saying arm, but I mean channel. So it swings right here and kind of hits these underwater points. So all this stuff right in here could be pretty juicy. You just got to find the right depth and figure out where they're feeding at. So I'm going to move over here. We're going to talk about this spot right in here as well. So again, got a good creek bed, right? Following through here and a nice little point with a shallow top on it that I really like. So right in this area right here. Also says there's some oil wells there. So maybe you could fish around these oil wells. Right there would be a good place to fish, especially if that oil well is there. Then if we move over here, obviously you want to hit these spots right here. If you can find these spots where this creek channel swings up against the land, those are good spots. So right in here would be a good spot just where it touches. Then I'm going to move over here. We're going to look at these points over here. Again, shallow, flat top points that come out and kind of taper out. So that's a good one there. You got another one here. And then you got another one back in here as well. This one's got a 6-foot top on it. Breaks down, has another break or another shelf like a 12-foot, and then comes down and breaks down again. So you can see there's just lots of options here, but you're going to need that side scan. You're going to need that down scan to be able to locate them because some of these underwater points are pretty healthy. Then we get out here. This is a really nice flat top to a point. Not really long and tapered. It's just kind of this big flat point that just all of a sudden just drops off. You got a pretty good shelf going on right in here. Also, it's a hot spot for stripers, which again, if it's a hot spot for stripers, it means there's bait fish in this area. So you can probably see them pinning a bait fish up in here. So take a look at this flat top and then also look over here off this break off the sides. So come off the sides and really look off the front too. This is probably going to be more about wind direction on this one. All right, so then moving up here, we're going to wrap this thing up here in just a few more points. But moving up here, we got a pretty good break going on right here as well. So 6 feet to about 30 feet. And then as we move further out, another good point, right? Good flat top right in here with a good break off here off to the side as well. And then of course the long tapering thing coming out here too. So lots of good stuff going on at that point. Man, I wish Hubbard had all of this stuff that Texoma had. I would have a heyday. Then coming out here, we've got a really long point that comes out here out into the main lake. And the top of it's only about 13 feet. So I can see that being a good spot to fish as well. Those are like money spots for me when I can find those long points that come out. They're skinny. They got the hump on the top. It just seemed to always produce for me and be really, really good. So I would definitely want to take a look at that. And also look in here around the saddle, right? You've got a saddle here. So you got 13 feet on top and 14 feet on top. And then you should have a deeper spot right here in the middle. So at 24 feet. So right around that saddle too, they can collect in there as well. All right, so I'm going to move up. I'm going to finish these two coves. We're going to come down. We're going to finish where that little purple fish is. So I think we have enough time to do that. So let's go ahead and keep on rocking. So we're going to go back here to Bridgeview Marina and Resort. Right outside where their marina is, they've got a pretty nice little flat top point there, and then a good little break that's going off the side. So right in here, good feeding table right there. Good breaks as well. You've also got this creek arm that's coming up and it's slamming against the bank line here. So we're getting really close to it. So you're going to want to come over here and scan this whole area. And I'll talk to you guys about the different marks that I marked on this thing. But right here, you've got a good mark. So pretty good little secondary point that comes out with a decent little flat, but that creek arm swinging up against the bank line there, that is awesome. Also swinging up against this point, or I shouldn't say bank line, but swinging against that point. Swinging against this point here as well. Good flat tops. I really like this stuff. I love this submerged bridge out here. So you got a creek channel swing where it's coming up and it's hitting like a little underwater secondary point. But then you've also got a submerged bridge there as well. So a lot of good things going on right in this area. Then as we move down, you're just, again, you come in here, you want to get over here and scan these areas. There could be brush piles. There could be all kinds of stuff right in here that we cannot see from contour maps and things like that. But a lot of signs are saying, hey, there's brush piles in this area, especially with that creek arm being there and all these points coming out and touching it. So then moving in here again, creek channel swing coming against the side. A little bit of a point that came out here, but really I put this mark here, but you just need to scan this whole area, just like I said. That's going to be a good area to fish, and then come out here and check out this point too. But really, I think they're going to be more attracted down in here than they are out here. But you never know that fish do their own thing. So go check it out. Moving back up in here, got to get further back up in here, but where the creek channel is out here, but you got pretty good breaks right in here too. So take a look at this. This is a interesting little point. Not a lot going on with it, but it does have some pretty good breaks going on right off the edge of it. So the fact that it's a main lake point is definitely something that you want to look at. And then getting back in here on this little point, good flat top, good break, got a creek bed by it, all kinds of good things that set up for this one. So this one looks like a healthy one to look at as well. And then I think I went a little further back in here. I know this is shallow, guys, but I mean, it's shallow to you. It's not shallow to us down here in Texas, where some of our lakes aren't even this deep. But basically, you got a little hump that's out here. So take a look at this hump, see what's out here. See if that creek arm comes anywhere close to that hump. If it does, I could see this being a stopping spot for them. So definitely a spot they could set up on before they go back and spawn or before they come back out the main lake. All kinds of options there for them. And then as we move here, we come around this point. There are some rocks off this point, so you can take a look at that. Following this creek arm back, see if there's anything back there. You know, it might maybe go back and take a look at that and see if it touches the bank line there at all. But then right in here, there's a couple spots back in here I want you to look at. So if you look here, there's a little bit of a secondary point going on back underneath these docks. And it looks like you can get back here, but right here off that ridge, right here by that walkway, looks like it could be a good spot. There's a rock pile there, and there's a brush pile there as well. And you got decent depth, 20 foot, 15 to 20 foot. So go back there and check that out. It's kind of hidden back in there. But you definitely want to go look at that. And then swinging on around, next thing we're going to find is this little point that comes out here. Real good point, shallow top, tapering comes out, close to a creek arm. Again, good recipes. Again, here we've got another main lake point with a creek bed or a creek arm that's really close by it. So like that, the flat top, it's probably going to say stripers again. Let's click this one and see what it says. Doesn't say anything, just a fishing hotspot. I wouldn't consider that to be the fishing hotspot, but go over there and check it out because it could be a rock pile, it could be a brush pile, it could be anything. So anytime I see these things on Navionics, I always want to check them out. Even though right here I'm looking at it, I'm thinking from a contour perspective, this does not look like a primary spot. Maybe over here, but not right there. But you might go over there and that's the gold because there's a huge brush pile sitting right there. So moving on down here, we got off this point, some type of an obstruction that's down here. So just be careful, but I did put a marker there because I do like the way that point sets up and the fact that it's a main lake point. Then moving down here, they've marked again another fishing diving hotspot. So this area right in here must be pretty good, at least based on the marks that I'm seeing. And then we move on further down, we're getting closer down here to this campground. This point that comes out here, again, you got a good shelf that's going on out in here. So I think all this stuff would be good, like I said. But if you follow this point out, it actually comes up and the creek arm actually hits it, or the creek bed hits it, the creek channel hits it. But come over here and look at this this hump or this point that's out here. This looks really good right in this area. Then we're going to move down, another good point right in here, flat top, looks good. And then back in here, I didn't see anything back on that marina. Let's see what marina this is, Catfish Bay Marina. Didn't see anything back in that marina from an offshore standpoint, but again, watch the Google Earth video because we found good stuff in all these areas. It's just a deeper lake. And then over here, we found a good point, good shallow top, creek beds nearby. That's always good. And let's stop right here on this fish, and then we'll start back up on the next video to finish off. But right here, like this spot too, if you look at it, creek arms close by, right? Then you got a creek bed or creek channel. Man, I'm having all kinds of problems with terminology today, but creek channel here, creek bed. Then it comes to another smaller creek bed that comes over here and kind of gets really close to this point. And this point's got a little 7-foot flat top on the top of it. So take a look at that, see what you can find, scan around this area. I imagine that could probably be a good spot for you. Hey, if you haven't had a chance yet, go out and check this out. We have a site, simplisticfish.square.site, that you can get all of these waypoints, the offshore spots, and the Google Earth waypoints all put onto your cards and ready for your graphs. So go check that out if you haven't done that already. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do below. That really helps us out, keeps our channel growing, keeps me motivated to keep putting these things out there for you. And I really appreciate everybody taking the time to watch these videos. Until next time, hope you catch your PB. Take care, guys.